All right, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking with one of our agents, and actually he had emailed me the question, so I'm just going to respond to Jason. Jason is one of our agents, and he has some house flipping questions. He got 3 of them. I thought they were good questions, so I want to break them down and work with you guys and show you what questions it is that he had, and then my response to them in the hopes that in case you have the same question, you can find value out of this. So Jason's first question that mentioned that he took my house flipping course that we have at Hayes University, and he said, you had mentioned that you started out flipping homes with no money. Can you give me a little more detail on the financials? Basically, how in the world did you make that happen? What loan did you receive, so on and so forth. So my answer to that, Jason, is the very first flip I ever did was a property I bought when I was 18 years old. It was a commercial building. It was 2005. Banks were giving out money at 2005, literally. I had no job, and I was 18 years old, and they had lent me $55,000 to purchase my first property. Big this. Didn't even know how big of a deal that was. They actually gave me 100% financing because it was a fixer-upper. I bought it for $55,000, and I was going to put sweat equity into it. So what I did was I built a binder, printed off the property. I printed off what the value was going to be once I was done with it. I printed out my repairs, and I showed them that I was going to put between $20,000 and $30,000 into the building. And what I showed them was my time. So I charged for my time, and then basically it's called sweat equity. So I'm going to do all this work, and you guys can come inspect it at the end. But they gave me a $55,000 loan. Didn't have to put any of my own money into it. And what I did when I say no money in, meaning I got into the deal with no money. And once I purchased it, what I did was while I was working and I would make money from my other job, I stuck that money back into the building for the physical materials, which materials are actually pretty cheap. What's expensive is labor. So that's how I did it. That's how I did it on my first deal. I did that on my first couple deals where very, very similar to that. I had to prove to the bank based on my passion that I was going to make this a success, and they bought into me, and it worked really, really well. So hope that helps. But no money down, you can absolutely make it happen. Don't always necessarily recommend it. First time I put some of those charges on a credit card in the early days. Don't necessarily recommend that either, but hopefully that helps you get started. I always advise people, even if you are thinking about investing in real estate, still have 3 to 6 months worth of savings for your personal life off to the side before you start flipping, especially if you're trying to do it no money down, because in real estate, it takes time to cash in on some of these assets. So, all right. Second question, Jason said, is him and his wife are not legally married, so they both could use the first-time homebuyer loan. We also both have a very strong credit score, and knowing that, how would you advise our next move? Traditional financing, Jason, and flipping homes financing is not always, they don't always mesh really, really well. So what I mean by that is if you're going to go flip a property, traditional first-time home buying loan packages are not necessarily the way to go. That's made for people buying their first home. They're going to live there for the next 10, 15 years. That's what those are made for. They don't really specialize in flipping. Now, if you told me you were going to buy a rental, and you're going to live there for a year, maybe 2, then that financing makes a lot of sense. Okay. So my advice for you in this one is first-time home buying loans aren't necessarily, actually are very hard to do for flipping. Your best bet, you guys, here's your best bet for flipping home financing. Go find a local credit union, a local bank, and get into a relationship with the lenders and find out if they have lent on flipping before and what are their requirements. A lot of the local banks will take off their their strict underwriting glasses and put on this creative financing options for someone who proves himself over time. So that's your best bet for financing for flips is local relationships. And I always went to the bank. I never went private money because the bank was cheaper, and just bought into their programs that they had and followed it. And then Jason, your final question was, could you shadow myself or someone in my group on understanding the budgeting and the paperwork and all those pieces? Absolutely. We'll take care of you on that. We'll send you our process. We'll send you our spreadsheets and so on and so forth. But thanks so much for your Jason, for your questions. These are questions I think a lot of people have. I hope they answered them, and then if not, just shoot me another message and I will answer those as well. For everybody else that listened, thanks so much for watching this video. Like the video if you got some value out of it, and subscribe if you want more information in and around investing and buying and selling real estate. So thanks everybody.